I want her to know that I love her, and I want her to come home. That is all I'm worried about, is Morgan coming home. And that her sisters love her, and her dad, and all his family.
It must be very hard on the sisters.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I could imagine that, because they were there, right?
Yes.
Tragically, of course, Stacy is not the only mother living through this terrible hell. Unfortunately, there are an awful lot of them. This is Colleen Nick. Now, it just happened with Stacy. With Colleen, it was 14 months ago.
Yes, it was.
Her 6-year-old daughter, whose name also is Morgan, was abducted at a Little League game in a very small town of Alma, Arkansas. Please take a look at this.
6-year-old Morgan Nick was playing Friday night near this ball field in Alma. That's the last time her mother saw her. Volunteers are passing out thousands of flyers with information on Morgan and the suspect, all hoping that the efforts bring the 6-year-old home safely.
This is my daughter. She belongs here with me. You bring her back to me, and if you don't want to bring her back, you put her out on the street and you let somebody else bring her back to me.
In Alma, Alan Kelly, 11 Action News.
All right, Colleen, that was a little news clip. You say that what happened is truly a parent's worst nightmare. Oh, tell me what happened.
We
were at a Little League game.
We were at a Little League baseball game, and Morgan had sat through the entire game with me, and at the last 15 minutes of the game, some of her friends came up and asked if she could go catch lightning bugs, and I told her she couldn't because it was...
I know how hard this is. It was getting to be dark.
It was getting dark, but she wanted to go. You know, she said, please, and...
You know how that can be. Kids are always saying, Mother, please, everybody else is going out. Can I go out? And you feel like such an... I mean, when you say no, you just feel like, okay, I'm being crazy and overprotective, right?
And so against my better judgment, I let her go. And she was playing about 50 yards away from me, and I could see her the entire time.
You could look over and watch. She's 50 yards away, and she's with her friends. Okay, what happened?
I turned my back for 5 minutes. And when I turned back around, I could not see her. And I got up and went to look for her, and her friend said that she stopped to empty sand out of her shoes. And it was the last time that she was ever seen. I don't know if it's the mother's instinct, or if it's because it's every parent's worst nightmare, but I've had the horrible feeling that she was gone.
You did feel that?
Immediately. And, I mean, they immediately started to surge.
Now, this has been 14 months ago, and she's had, I think, 2 false hopes.
You know, out of all the leads we got one 2 weeks after she was taken that a gardener had seen a man trying to break into a truck on an estate, and as he ran towards them, the man breaking into the truck grabbed a little girl by the arm and fled into the woods. And so by the time the man gave descriptions, it sounded like our composite and like Morgan, and they immediately, you know, surrounded the woods and they began to search, and they flew us down there because they knew that Morgan was in the woods there. And we got there, and the search just went on into the wee hours of the morning, and the guy made it up. It was a hoax. And
how cruel can some human being be to let her think they found her daughter, to go through, oh my goodness, we're going to be reunited, and to make up a hoax?
You know, flying back home without her was worse than losing her the first time.
Oh, yeah. Because you think it's over, it's over. Now, you created a special monthly ritual for you and your children. What is it?
Because pink is Morgan's favorite color, and we release balloons on her birthday, the 9th of every month. She was taken on June the 9th, and so on the 9th of every month, we go to the ball field where she was abducted, and we let pink balloons go to say to ourselves that we haven't given up, and there's still hope, and Morgan, we love you and believe.
Now, this is hard for me to say. You know that statistically, the longer a child's missing, the worse the news is, right?
But you know what? I don't care about the statistics because this is my child, and I will fight for her. I would never give up hope. I don't care about the statistics. She's going to beat the odds.
We pray for her. We pray for her. We pray for you, and we hope. You wanted to give a message to Morgan's abductor. If he's listening, what would you like him to know?
I'd like to tell Morgan's abductor, you look into her eyes, and you know, when you look into her eyes, that she can only be happy if she came home, that she deserves to go home, and that you let her go and return her to us where she belongs.
I would never give up. I would do what you're doing. Throughout this hour, we're going to be showing you photos and home videos of these two missing girls. Please look carefully. If you have any tips, would you please call the number on your screen? You're the one that can make all the difference. And we're going to come back, and we're going to show you ways that, preventions that you can take so that this will not happen to you. We'll be right back. Child could be lured away by a stranger. When we return, you're going to see some shocking footage of a very scary playground scene. And you're going to meet a detective who's going to show you how you can protect your child and keep them out of harm's way. Information you can't afford to miss. Don't go away. This moisturizing body wash. That's why we're devoting this hour to teaching you everything you need to know about how to protect your children. And I can't think of a better person to do that than my next guest. This man is considered the leading expert on crime and personal safety. And he has created a very special program called Street Smarts, straight talk for kids, teens, and their parents. Please say hello to Detective J.J. Bittenbinder. Answer this question. How can you say don't take your eyes off your child for even a moment?
Well, you can't always watch your child.
You can't.
You've got to understand how this works. You have to prevent this from happening. And you can't prevent it at the time that when they're being accosted. You have to prevent it way before that by giving them the education. Now, you got to spend the amount of resources on the prevention of this thing.
Rather than, so that's what we're doing today.
That's right. You see,
in the course of a year, we were told there were, 114,000 attempted abductions of little kids.
That number is obviously wrong.
114,000?
No.
It's too high.
Here's what's happening. Those are 114,000 reported incidents. But if the guy comes up there and he tries to get the kid in the car and the kid says no and walks away, that's not even reported. The only ones that are reported are the ones where there actually is enough evidence to make sure it's a crime. So what we've got to do is prepare our children.
But wait a minute. You're sitting next to two mothers. Did you hear the story?
Yes, I heard the story.
All right. Both of those mothers said that they talked to their children about strangers.
Okay. But we also tell our children to obey adults, be respectful to adults. What we've got to do is tell these children, you can say no. You can do these things. And we're not trying to make them paranoid, and we're not trying to make them disrespectful. We're trying to make them survive. And that's all that there is to this thing. We've got to, a child molester, Sally, a child molester is different than any other criminal. The recidivism rate for a child molester is 100%.
What?
He's going to do it at least 3 times before we catch him, and he's going to do it the first thing when he comes out of prison, because that's all he's been thinking about for all those years.
You're saying to me...
I'll tell you something else I believe in my heart. I believe that the pictures of those children on those posters and on those milk cartons, I believe those children are gone. And what I believe in my heart is we should take their pictures off of those milk cartons and the posters, and we should put on those milk cartons the pictures of the paroled child molesters, because they are not wrong. every day. Every day. And if you think that it's not going to happen in your community, that's wrong, because it's going to happen. These guys are out there every day. And just because they don't grab one doesn't mean they're not looking. But they're cruising up and down the street. What they're trying to do, these child molesters, is trying to hook into this sexual preference thing where they say, well, my sexual preference is just as important as hers or his. It's just that I...
Not when it comes to children.
Not when it comes to kids.
Not when it comes to children. I don't care. What are some of the most common mistakes that parents make that could put their children in danger?
Well, first of all, they don't think it's going to happen to them. That's the first.
First mistake, it isn't you.
Yeah, it's not going to happen to me. There's three things that I talk about when I talk to children. There are three. See, if we can't put these bad guys away and keep them away, if we're going to let the sharks swim with our children, we've got to give our children some tools, and there's three of them that are very important to do. And the first thing is, there are very few words that have got the power to attract the kind of attention we want a child to be able to attract when the child is in trouble. But there's one word that's strong enough to attract all of these people.
So, this is my child. Somebody grabs her.
The first thing out of this kid's mouth is stranger. Stranger is the only label a bad guy doesn't want. Stranger is the only word that says the man dragging his kid into the car is not his father. And stranger is the only word that'll get every adult, every parent for sure, to look over and say, what the hell is going on over there?
Stranger. Next.
The next thing you got to do, you know, when I talk to these children's groups, I try to tell them to stay together. 99% of the time they'll take one child, maybe two, but never three. So you want them to stay in groups. And the way I explain it to them, besides telling them to stay in groups, I talk about a movie called Top Gun, which is it's a movie about airplanes, and most of the children have seen it. But the underlying lesson that the Tom Cruise character learns throughout this whole movie is you never leave your wingman, because the two planes flying together are so much more powerful than the two planes flying apart.
We did a little experiment. We sent some mothers and friends of our producers out with their children to a playground. Now, we told the mothers, obviously, what was going to happen, but the children had no idea. What we did was we hired an actor to play a stranger. We told this actor, try and lure the children away by pretending you lost your dog Fancy. And we put a hidden camera there and captured the scene on tape. Did the children go? Take a look at this. Would you roll the tape?
Fancy, where are you? Fancy. Fancy. Have you seen my dog Fancy? A little white poodle? You didn't see him here? Will you help me look for him? He's lost. He's about this high, and he answers the name. Let's go, come on. He's a real nice dog. You can pet him. Are you coming too? Come on. Let's go this way. I think he went this way. Come on, kids. Let's go. Call him out. His name is Fancy. Call Fancy. Fancy. First one that finds him gets an ice cream cone. Fancy.
Okay, guys, we did that. That's pretty scary. All three of these children were lured away in less than a minute with their parents standing nearby. These are some of the mothers. This is Becky. And Joanne, want to stand up for us, please? How did it feel watching your son Ben just do this with a stranger that quick?
I'm feeling it all over again. It's devastating. The fear, the pit in your stomach.
Ben did not look back at you, and you were sitting there.
No, I was sitting right there. I thought, after talking to him and warning him, that he would have at least come over and said, Mom, is it okay if I go look for a puppy? But it had the element, the grandfather, the puppy, the ice cream. I was devastated. I feel very lucky that I could go, and it was an act, and I could grab him. I'm so sorry for these mothers who, can't do that right now.
Joanne, you said you were horrified but not surprised when Everett walked away with the stranger. Why?